Today, we have an IT story. The manager believes that his project is more important than protocol, and when he doesn't get his way, he ends up digging himself into a hole. Without further ado, let's get cracking. You need scan guns? Hold on, let me get you fired first. So this started earlier today when my coworker approached me after working on the floor, informing me how Kevin approached him in regards to scan guns that he says he needs ready by today. Scan guns that, for starters, we do not have available, but I'll explain that in a moment. First, let me tell you a little about Kevin so you know exactly what I'm dealing with here. Kevin is this company's plant manager, and he's, for lack of a better term, abrasive. If I could describe him better, he's the type of manager that loves to micromanage his employees while demanding the most out of every and anyone when he feels that he needs something important done. This is where our situation came in. Long story short, Kevin wanted the OmniScan guns that shipping mainly uses for inventory to be used by his employees to track pallets to ensure that they are accurate. Sounds reasonable, right? Well, I thought so too, even if he had that out of the blue. Well, as soon as I found out today, things soon escalated the way that they did, and while I wish things were handled better, I did things the best that I could in the end, so that there aren't really any real regrets here. So, steering back to the situation, Kevin told my coworker that the other two scan guns, because the company only had 3, were either broken or unaccountable. That obviously didn't sit well with either of us, because now, to remedy that, he wanted the scan guns we had on reserve for a special project to be used for his project. My coworker recorded the convo, which will be used later, and asked if I could step in to talk with him, so I did. Walking to the area that Kevin was in, I could see that I wasn't alone. Not that it really mattered since my business was with him. I addressed Kevin the situation with the scan guns, and per our IT policy, we must determine the status of the guns, why one is broken and why the other is missing. How broken is the gun? Why was there no better accountability made for our assets, etc. Kevin, in his own fashion, didn't have an answer for me, but instead told me to go ask whoever had the guns and find out why. I looked at him, dead in the eyes, and asked him, "Sir, isn't this your project? Shouldn't you be able to be held accountable since the equipment was under your care at the time?" Obviously, Kevin somehow took offense to that, as he felt that I was being disrespectful, and that how dare I put him on the spot like that. So, as always, in situations like this, I decided to call my boss and inform him of the situation and ask for his input. Putting my phone on speaker, my boss informed Kevin that he cannot accommodate what he wants simply because we do not have what he wants, nor can it be done the same day. Kevin then suggested the scan guns that we have reserved for that special project. My boss obviously told him no, as he will not be allocating assets for a project to fill his needs. Kevin tried to dispute this, saying that he wanted this done today. My boss said, and I quote this happily, "Well, if you had enough foresight to inform us of this project sooner, we would have been able to accommodate you better. Keep in mind that per our policy, should the plant have any and all projects that will involve IT-related assets and/or information, it must be coordinated with the IT department prior to deployment to ensure a seamless transition. You didn't, and therefore you have to accept the consequences as someone in management should." Keep in mind also that prior to calling my boss, I was also recording my convo with Kevin, because anyone here on this subreddit knows that cover your butt is absolutely essential. I then proceeded to resume recording, giving Kevin the illusion that I was hanging up with my boss, which I did, but he didn't need to know all the deeds, lol. I then asked Kevin if there was anything else he needed from me, to which he had a bit of a grump and told me that he found me to be very unreasonable. Basically saying that I wasn't doing my job properly and that if it were up to him, he would fire me on the spot for being so incompetent. Sure, Kevin, keep feeding me that delicious info. So I went back to my office to see what I can wrap up on for the day when I got a call from my HR manager to report to her office. Y'all already know where this is going, but we're coming to the conclusion here, so buckle up. So I walk in there, and sure enough, Kevin is there too with a smug look on his face. My HR manager told me that Kevin informed her that he found my conduct with him to be very disrespectful, that I refused to accommodate him with what he needed or give a valid excuse why. It's no surprise here, but I was ready for this. Prior to even showing up, I had my coworker email me the recording he had with Kevin, since by that time he had left work and went home. Along with my recordings, I had what I needed, but I wanted to put the cherry on top. So, after a quick text to my boss, he showed up with the most serious expression I've seen him in. Keep in mind also that he was supposed to be starting his vacation, and getting dragged in for Kevin's didn't sit so well with him. So after Kevin said his piece and I said mine, the HR manager turned to me and said, "That one guy 141, do you have any evidence that dismisses Kevin's accusations?" With the most professional looking smug look on my face, I told her that I did. So I pulled out my phone and pulled up the two recordings that both my coworker and I had with our conversations with Kevin. So after listening to the convos, Kevin's expression went from smug to as if he had saw a ghost. Without much to say, the HR manager turned to Kevin and told him, "How can you even say such a thing to someone here? That one guy 141 has been one of our most dedicated workers here. Being in the job that he's in, he has a lot on his plate to contend with. It is also a policy that his manager enforces that they do not keep surplus equipment if it's not meant to be utilized to its fullest extent. That is why we ordered through them to supply exactly what we need. Your conduct towards him does not merit any actual justification through your callous words and berating him in the manner that you took." Afterwards, I stepped out with my boss while the HR manager doles out what she felt was necessary to Kevin. Not long after, he left her office without saying a word to either my boss or I. Going back into her office, we were told that Kevin had already had a history of this sort of thing happening, but without any substantial evidence. They couldn't can him. We did, and it was more than enough, along with the paper trail stacked against him, to get his butt fired. Again, this happened just today, so I'm feeling a mix of anxiety, joy, and some sadness for Kevin. In some misguided way, I know he was just trying to do his job, but I just wish he could have handled things better. Anyways, thanks for reading, guys, and have a good one. Too long didn't read? A manager wanted our department to replace devices he didn't have accountability for, and after informing him of our policies, then proceeded to berate me, which led to him getting fired. So what do you guys feel about this situation? Why did his manager act that way? Why did he set himself up? Why do offices always have drama? If you have any more questions or answers, then feel free to leave them below in the comments. Like the video to let me know you got this far, and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you haven't already. Share this video with someone who might be having a rough day or just works in IT. Let me know what you want to see next, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.